What? Oh, yay!
Yay! Yay!
Hey, no, it's working. No, it's working. It's working.
Okay, great.
Yay. Okay, will you check? Okay.
Yeah, let me check. Okay.
We're just making sure that it's working. Because last week, guys, when I tried to do the video like horizontal, it wasn't working very well. No. And then, so I'm hoping that this week, because Super Duper Ashley Cooper
all right,
changed my settings on my phone. Yay, okay.
Tech genius right here, people. We were going to talk about overflowing with love. Now we're just talking about technology.
Technology.
Pure technology.
Women in technology. And how amazing it is. So guys, it's Thursday night, 8 p.m. Dr. Carlen Live. Thank you for joining me. Woo woo! I'm in Toronto in Liberty Village with my darling sister right here. Ashley Cooper. We're hanging out. We're having a good time.
We are.
And yeah, it's Thursday night. So cheers to you.
So cheers to you.
Bam. So, Ashley.
Yes.
Oh wait, first let's drink.
Let's drink.
It's very rude. Wait, looking at each other. Here's the rule. We cannot ching without looking at each other in the eyes.
Okay.
And then you drink after, or else it's bad luck. Like we just did again. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's a great time.
It's a great time. We're right? Wasted by 8:15 of this camera.
So I want to introduce you guys to my darling sister here, Ashley Cooper. She is a confidence expert, a wonderful leader in her own right as well. She coaches and supports men and women all over the country. And yeah, this is Ashley. Give her a warm welcome.
Thanks. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
I also shared this on my page as well. So if my people are here, this is my beautiful, gorgeous, incredible friend who I've talked about before in videos. But if you don't remember, her name is Dr. Carlen Costa, and she is a sexologist and expert on all things love and uncovering the juiciness of life.
I'm a good friend to have on speed dial.
Definitely.
just throwing that out there. So
my dating life has never been better.
Well, we're having a good time, guys, and thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you every week tuning in and hanging out with me and all my beautiful guests. So Ashley, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about like you, what you do, how you support and help heal this world with love.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I basically work a lot with fully integrative approach of both the darkness and the light. So I work on really helping people embrace all of who they are. So finding the beauty and the richness in even those less desirable, especially the less desirable places within ourselves, right? And I really help people reframe the way they see pain and fear and failure and all of these things that we tend to ignore, but the really juicy spots that actually fill us up with love inside, right? So what I love to do is help people really uncover the worthiness within so that they can actually overflow and give to the world around them instead of, you know, seeking outside of yourself all the time to actually just like come from that place of fullness within. So
no big deal.
No big deal.
Just all of that. Just, I don't know, change your life. Just like that.
Just like that.
That's kind of what she does. So that's great. Okay, so what is your favorite part about your work?
Helping people uncover the magic that they are. So, you know, I feel like there's been an epidemic in like people trying to fix themselves or, you know, it's like there's so many people making money off of people thinking that they're broken. But I love helping people rediscover the fact that they're already whole and complete.
Yes, you are not broken.
No, you don't have to be fucking fixed.
No, you are not something to be fixed. You know what I love? Actually, this is really quite relevant. So I was rewatching the video of, is it Kiyoshi from Japan, and he did this beautiful video about broken bowls in Japan. So when a bowl in Japan breaks, what happened is they don't throw it away. They don't discard it. What they do is they put the bowl back together and then they mend it with gold. Isn't that incredible?
It's so amazing. It's my favorite quote. Like one of them with Rumi, the wound is where the light enters you. Like, isn't that so true, right? Because we all spend so much time shaming, blaming, guilting ourselves for certain circumstances, but when you actually mine the lessons of any experience and give yourself the presence and place to actually go to the places that you might not normally go to, it's like what even Joseph Campbell says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek.
We love Joseph Campbell. Yeah.
Right.
The cave you fear to enter
holds the treasure that you seek. And that's like my favorite thing about my work is that I get to help people see that they're already a hero, that they're already magic, that there's not so much that they need to do, they just have to become who they already are, right? Unlearn all the shit that they've been told about who they're not to become who they are.
Unlearn all the shit. There's a lesson. There's a big fucking lesson. Right? And it's great because it's my show. I'm allowed to swear. But
I'm sorry, I've been swearing this whole time. It ain't my show.
That's why. No. She knows. However, but unlearning the shit. So the shit when it comes to your life, when it comes to relationships, not only relationships like loving relationships like with people that you love, but with people in your life, in your circle, in your world, in your friend world, right? Unlearning all of that shit, all of those myths, all of the things, all of the ways that you think and that you hold yourself back. Because that's what I find in my work. I find in my work quite often that one of the barriers to my work, and one of the things that I experience that my clients experience, is that they have so much fear. So we are afraid to be honest, not only with other people, but we are afraid to be honest with ourselves. And that's a lot of the work that Ashley and I do, is helping people, supporting people to get in touch with themselves and uncover that fear. Look that fear in the eye and say, you know, that's enough. I've had enough. I'm going to face this fear and I'm going to move forward, acknowledging this fear in my life and knowing that this is something that I have the opportunity to grow through.
100%. And like, thank you, fear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, fear.
Thank you, fear.
Let's talk about thank you, fear.
Yeah.
Tell what is thank you, fear?
Well, for me as well, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. So what I began to discover, and just through my own personal journey and then research and then watching and guiding so many people through the journey, is that when we're high achievers or we're going after our goals and we want to do something really great in our life, what most people will tend to do is that they'll wait for fear to not be present before they take action. So they're like, oh, I have an excuse here, and this and that, I'm a little bit scared, I need to get this, maybe a degree, maybe you do need a degree. I mean, if you want to be a brain surgeon, please get one.
If you want to be a therapist,
if you want to be a therapist, please get one.
Yeah.
But there's certain places where excuses become very prevalent because people are scared. And yet, when you're about to take a really great action in your life, fear will never be more present. You'll get this anxiety, you're going to be pushing your comfort zone, you're going to be stretching yourself beyond boundaries that you've ever experienced, and so fear will never actually be more present than when you're about to do something great.
It's actually it's a lesson that I myself am really kind of feeling into a lot lately, is when I feel uncomfortable about something, like whether it's a new project or, you know, a new deal or a new anything, a new friend, a new person, like, you know what I mean? And I feel a sense of like, restraint or a fear of some sort. I take a second, I take a step back, and I try to reflect on what it is, where's that coming from? Because sometimes fear is a good thing. Sometimes fear actually is meant to keep us safe, right? Like from crossing the road and not getting hit by a car.
Totally.
From not, from not going home with somebody or walking down a scary alley, right? Sometimes fear actually serves us rather well, right? And that's why I love fear, because of the duality of that emotion. However, I also am starting to really learn and embrace that when I feel fear, to reflect on, take a step back and be like, okay, what is that about and where is that coming from? And then to be like, okay, is this a challenge, right? Is this a lesson that is presenting itself in my life to learn? So I actually love, fear is actually one of my favorite emotions, which is probably why I really like roller coasters. I'm not gonna lie. I freaking love roller coasters so much, and I get so afraid and I get like palms sweaty and like I'm like freaking out, but I want to sit like at the front and I want to like freak myself out. I love fear as an emotion. I really do.
And so it's the place that's always pushed me into my light. It's pushed me into my greatness. It's pushed the boundaries of who I was, who I thought I was. And when fear was ever present, I could reframe the way I saw it. And like you said, you need to have like a good BS meter. Like, is this me? Is this like fear indicating like that I shouldn't move forward, or is it actually something that's telling me I'm actually about to do something special? There's actually something great about to happen. And when you can actually embrace that and say thank you, fear, and lean into it, your life begins to explode in ways you never imagined. Thank you, fear.
Thank you, fear.
Thank you, fear.
This is the new thing. This is the new thank you, fear.
I don't know what that is. I'm like all of a sudden think I'm Beyonce. I have some funky earrings on, and all of a sudden we're like bebopping around.
I'm alright with it. It's a good time. It's good. in terms of, because you have the wonderful hashtag and this wonderful, now correct me if I'm wrong if it's a program, but Fear to Fierce. What is Fear to Fierce? And let's explain that to people.
So it's a lot about already what we're talking about. It's about helping people reframe the upper limits they were born with and help them really see fear for what it is sometimes, which is an indication to move forward. I mean, back in the day when we were getting chased by cheetahs or, you know, having to like really run away from dangerous situations, fear was very useful, but now we kind of misinterpret it. And so what are these cues that you're getting from your fear and within that actually could be a call to greatness?
Ooh, I love that. The call to greatness. Answer the phone.
It's calling. It's been calling for a while. You got to pick up. And I also find that a lot of people who are making a difference in the world and who were really born to, I call them light workers or empaths, or people who really are born with that special spark of light, they kind of had to learn the darkness to move into that light.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, by kind of, I mean really.
Yeah. But kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the darkness, so it's always interesting because I feel like a lot of healers or people, you know, people who heal, you know, heal through love and the work that we do and support people, etc., that we have such an interesting adventure behind us and we have such an interesting adventure before us. And I think that is why I embrace fear, because I know firsthand what it feels like, right? You know firsthand what it feels like. Can I talk about the hurricane?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. I totally forgot to ask. So this incredible thing happened. Ashley, our darling Ashley, was recently working with her charity. So she has a charity that works out of the Dominican.
Yeah, I don't have it, but I work with one.
Sorry,
yeah.
You work with
I
one.
work hand in hand together for better in Dominican. But you're right. Yes, I work with them.
Can you tell a little bit about? Let's talk about a little bit about Together for Dominican.
Okay, so Together for Better is actually a charity organization that was started by a woman, ironically, who was on vacation in the Dominican Republic. She's a Swedish woman, but she was in vacation in the Dominican Republic when a hurricane hit in Haiti years ago.
Yeah.
And so she saw the devastation that had happened, and she saw that there were so many homeless children from Haiti in the Dominican Republic that needed schooling, that needed to be brought off the streets. So she started with single-handedly to build 3 schools in the Dominican Republic, just you know, working together with, you know, the women of that community to build these schools. So I go there and support her. I've supported her a few times, and yeah, so that's why I was there. So ironically, for a hurricane.
So Ashley, like you encountered the hurricane, or
I was there right up until the moment it hit. So
up until the moment it hit. So there was a bunch of us on the phone calling everybody we know. We're trying to get her out of the Dominican, and that was a fear-based moment. Like talk about fear when you're in the middle of the islands, knowing that a huge hurricane. Talk about metaphor for life. My goodness.
I know.
Literal metaphor for life.
Yeah.
Right? When you're so. How did you move? Okay, here's a great question. Because one of the questions, and this is relative, one of the questions someone just asked is, how about fear and confidence? How does that work, right?
Right.
And just because I was part of the team and like that was trying to get you out of, evacuated out of there, what were some of the key takeaways or key points or key messaging that you took from moving fear to confidence?
Right.
Because I would say that one of them, just in answering this question and in your experience as well, just in that being just like, a fear-based moment, right? Well, that support from people around you is a really, really big one.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is, like, even the backstory is that I was like, we had been working with the kids in the orphanage, and a lot of them were going to be, their houses were about to be hit, and they were going to be there left alone because we had sent their grandfather to the hospital the day before, and it was just like, so I was there by myself. There was no other English speaking people there. I'm not familiar with the Dominican Republic, and I actually had to drive the car through like, the more dangerous parts of the Dominican Republic to go pick up the kids and bring them to a hurricane-proof house. Don't speak the language, didn't have anyone else there. That was actually surprisingly the easy part, because I was so focused on getting the kids out there that I actually cruised through that pretty easily. I didn't feel scared. I was just like, of course, that's what I'm going to do. I took action. I went there and did it. But there was a moment of, I could say weakness, but actually strength, where I actually felt, I was at 3 a.m. and I was just like, after all that adrenaline had settled down and the kids were in the house safe and we'd done all of this hurricane prep, and I just sat there and I allowed, the first step of my process that I work with is awareness, right? So if you're not aware of something, you can't change it. And I'm very, very...
First step.
Yeah.
If you are not aware of something, you cannot change it.
Yeah.
There's a lesson.
Yeah. And I was just with myself, and I allowed myself to cry, and I just acknowledged the fact that no man is an island, and as much as I was supporting other people, I had to reach out for help. And there was no shame in it for me. There was no, and I think that's a true confident person when they can reach out to friends like you or like Jillian or people and say, and I said to, I remember when I called Jillian as well, a mutual friend of ours who then called Carlen.
It's been on Dr. Carlen Live. Jillian ran the ship. It was the best ever.
And I just called her and I said, I've been supporting others. Now I need you to support me. I need you to carry me through. I need you to help me so I can be there to help others. And I just remember, I didn't reflect over it because I'm really good at asking for help because I don't see it as being a bad thing. I think it's a very confident thing to do. It's like, I know my limits, I know my boundaries, and I know when I need help. And I remember Jillian said, I think that was the strongest I've ever seen you because you knew your place and you knew when to reach out for help. And
Yes. So step one key point from moving fear to confidence is knowing when to ask for help.
Yeah.
Right? Recognizing who is around you to support you and actually taking the step to reach out. Right? It is a recognition of your strength when you can say, I need help right now. Right? It is not like being vulnerable isn't a weakness. And that's something that we need to start recognizing, whether we are in a relationship with whoever, right? Being vulnerable and asking for help is not necessarily a weakness. It is a vulnerability, but it doesn't have that negativity. In fact, it is a reflection of your strength and of the confidence that you are trying to build, which is really beautiful. Right?
Yeah, and something that I really admire in all the like high achievers and people that I admire, they always looked at other people on like, you can never learn if you assume you know everything.
Yes.
Right?
Lesson number 2. You don't know everything. You really fucking don't. Who does? Right? Like, right?
Yeah.
And do you ever find, okay, so when I do work like this or when I'm speaking in front of people ask me questions, right? And I mean, like, I talk about sex, love, relationships, life, so I get a very diverse number of questions, right? And I am not afraid to say, I have no idea. Or like, I can find that out. Right now, I have no idea. Because there's just so much information to know. And if I'm going to give you an answer, I want to give you the best possible answer that I can give you in the moment. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Totally. And it's also okay to say, I don't know. I don't know.
And it's important to say, I don't know.
It's absolutely important to say, I don't know. You can tell I'm really Portuguese because I put my wine down to talk. I was like,
you can tell I'm Scottish and Irish. I'm not putting my drink down. There ain't no way in hell it's happening.
I'm like, she's like,
Italian with one hand, and Scottish and Irish in the other.
Best ever. Best ever. Okay, so first lesson was asking for help. So knowing what your support circle is and being able to ask for help. Second lesson is, we just talked about it. Oh my god, we just talked about it. Second lesson, admitting, being vulnerable. So admitting when you need help, admitting you don't know everything. Yeah, that's the second lesson.
Yeah, and I think also like embodying your truth. So it's just all about, so much of it is about, you know, I think the reason, what makes me a good leader is that I will say, I'll be real with where I'm at, right? And I don't like spill my dirty crap if I haven't like processed stuff. And I'm very real with the fact that I'm not perfect. And I think that, you know, there's so many people that are putting themselves on pedestals or saying certain things, but they're not being real with where they're at. And when you can give someone permission to be themselves and you show the process within yourself, you actually allow other people to honor their journey as well. So you really empower people to see life is about expansion. It's not about fixing yourself. It's not about being broken, but it's about expanding into a greater part of yourself. And when you can be in that expansion, then it becomes a different thing.
Yes.
It's not that you're wrong. It's just that you're expanding.
Yes. And you're learning.
Yes.
We're learning. The best, I love that. I don't know if I'll probably get the quote wrong. I'm challenged by getting quotes accurate. However, it's the idea of the greatest teachers are the people who always recognize that they are students forever.
100%. I'm always was even struggling with the idea of being like calling myself a coach or a leader or this or that, because I'm like, I truly 100% of the time, whenever I'm with anyone, I'm always like, I don't know who's helping who. I've never walked out of a scenario where I haven't learned something and become a better part of myself.
Absolutely. I learn just as much from my clients as they learn from me.
Right. So I guess that's the next one as well. Like, stay humble, stay open.
Stay humble. Stay humble. Love Kendrick Lamar. Anyways.
This is going all over
So,
that.
I love it though. So the third lesson in moving fear to confidence is stay humble. Right? Know what you don't know and be okay with it.
Yeah, because the thing is, a true confident person knows I might not know everything, and I'm so okay with who I am and where I am right now. It's like to seek for that expansion, not to be fixed.
Yes.
It's like seek the adventure, seek the expansion. So for me, even when I'm growing my business or I'm doing the next level of anything, it's not because I think I'm bad where I'm at. It's just because I love expansion.
Yes.
I love to grow into a new part of myself, and a part of all expansion is contraction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We forget.
Right.
We forget that when we grow, we also have to like come back for a second and like recoup, and then like we grow and then we come back down for a second. Right? It's the breathing.
It's literally the contractions. You're giving birth to a new part of yourself. So it's like these like actual contractions that happen.
Yeah, we're not like latex balloons. We don't just like come out and just like keep going, right? We're living, breathing organisms. So like we grow a little and then we come back for a second, and then we grow a little and then we come back down for a second, and that's that processing, right? We process in that moment. So when we grow a little, we have a lesson when we're moving from fear to confidence, right? Fear to fierce. When we're doing that, when we're moving through that process, remember that growth is really beautiful and growth is really wonderful, and it's like such a like one of my favorite parts of the journey. However, the decompression, the coming back into yourself is just as important, because processing what you've learned, how you've grown, is going to support you in moving on to the next step. Because if you don't do that work, you cannot. Right? If you don't know where you are currently at, what your boundaries currently look like, what your structure, what that feels like, what it looks like, who you are now, you don't know who you're going to be or where you're growing to.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, and it's like you're building muscles. You don't go to the gym. It's like your
I love
muscles
that
are
analogy.
actually, right?
Yes.
Like your rest days are when the muscles are built as well. And like a lot of people will go, like I'm always talking to my women, I'm like, enjoy the baby steps. Enjoy the journey. Like every single thing. It's more important that you celebrate the small successes than the big leaps, right?
Yes.
So like the baby steps along the journey. I'm like, so many of us are trying to walk in the gym, lift one weight, and like walk out like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And be like, you know, I don't know who wants to look like it. I don't necessarily. It'd be really awkward if that whole thing was happening. But clearly, I don't have that discipline to go to the gym enough to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But like we can't just, it's repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skill. It's rewiring your neural pathways. It's unlearning all that you've learned to become who you were born to be. So it takes time.
In leadership, in love, in relationships, right? Well, it was fun when you were just saying when you just said what was your favorite part again?
You got dazzled by me flexing, probably.
Did I? I did.
I Ashley's flexing, and I just like her muscles are so pulsing.
Yeah, that's just what just happened. A little bit. But a thought that came to my mind was especially when people start in relationships, when you're starting off in a relationship, when you met someone new that you're attracted to, right? The flirting, the foreplay, the getting to know each other is actually one of my favorite parts. And we forget that, right? We always want to like push it like, and they're my boyfriend, they're my girlfriend, they're like, we're in a relationship, let's do this life. And you're like, wow, okay. Take a step back and enjoy that learning process. Enjoy learning where you're at. Right. Enjoy learning what you're afraid of. Enjoy learning about each other, right? Take a moment and like get grounded step by step by step, so that you build a strong structure for this relationship to grow upon, right? So you do it in terms of entrepreneurship and working with entrepreneurs, and I do it in terms of working with people and building their relationships, and they're very similar processes. And taking a step to recognize and understand. You grow, and then you then you come back, right? You decompress a second, and you process, and you do that work, right? And you recognize and reflect on where it is that you are at right now. That's what builds that confidence. That's what builds the strength. It's taking things step by step, whether you're in business or whether you are in a relationship. And so enjoy the flirting. Enjoy getting to know each other, right? Enjoy creating new habits and new jokes and new all of that stuff. Don't just jump into like, and we're married and we're having babies and we're doing all of this stuff. And it's like, wow, okay. What is happening? You're freaking me out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that can be quite scary for people, right? And that's where you see people who like, if you've been dating someone and all of a sudden one day they're like, boom, and we're gone and I'm disappeared and I can't talk to you anymore. That's because of that. We push too hard. We push too hard, and that person hasn't had a chance to process where they are at.
Right.
And that's when I see that pattern happen in relationships. It's just applicable.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important also to always be that source of love for yourself, and to always challenge, like, what do you think is bad?
Rule number 4, be the source of love for yourself.
Right. And it's also, so many times we label things as being bad, but I just exited a 6-year relationship not too long ago. And I remember, like, even when I left, it was the most challenging thing I'd ever done, because we had business together, we loved each other very much, we were best friends. And yet I knew that opportunity to be without him was the opportunity to find myself on a deeper level than I'd ever found myself before. And to find that love. And my girlfriends that helped me find myself on a deeper level than I ever have before. That sounded really sexual. It wasn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize on my show. You don't have to apologize.
Okay, good.
On my show, you can have girlfriends.
That might not have been appropriate, but on yours, it's okay.
On my show, we can have girlfriends. We can have boyfriends. We can have girlfriends and boyfriends at the same time.
Right.
Yes.
It's all good. Yeah. No, but it's like, even like when someone rejects you, it's a chance to find yourself. All things, all roads. Here's the last one. All roads are leading back to love.
Rule number 5, all roads
are leading back to love. Love of yourself, right? So always ask yourself, and no matter what circumstance you're in, no matter what you're going through, no matter what's happening in your relationships or your business or your life or your finances, how can this lead me back to love?
Yes.
How can this lead me back to the love of myself? What can I learn here? Because the lessons are in the triggers, right? So if there's something that's actually triggering you, it's leading you back to love of yourself, and that's really what the expansion is love, is really expanding into that love. And then you can overflow.
All right. Well, my friends, there was a lesson from our... I was going to say super duper Ashley Cooper. Super duper Ashley Cooper.
We're branding that right now.
Yeah. Hashtag super duper Ashley Cooper. Just saying. Hashtag Dr. Carlen. And Dr. Carlen Live, 8 o'clock Thursday nights. Thank you guys for joining me so much. That was a great lesson. Thank you so much for being on with me tonight and talking about moving from fear to confidence and how to empower your life for you in business, in relationships. We talked about a lot.
We covered a lot.
Yeah, a lot of these lessons I think are applicable to so many different aspects of your life, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, right? I enjoyed it.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was so fun.
You had fun?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. We love you.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Bye.
See you next week.
See ya.